looks very calm. He's got good posture. He looks a lot calmer, lot more at peace than he did, I think, in the previous part of it. And he plays the French. Okay. So who did Erobb take lessons with off stream?
Maybe Botez? Is that possible?
He definitely did not. He has not been streaming that much. So, okay, who did he take lessons with?
Because the French, that leads me to Alexandra. If I have to blame anybody for a bad light square bishop, Alexandra feels like the person.
I mean, maybe it was maybe. I mean, it could be Hans because Hans gave him a lesson before his first game against Fuseli, maybe. But I mean, but it would be kind of odd for him to be remembering this because that was already what like no.
Queen.
No, but maybe Charlie doesn't see it. Charlie just sat back in his chair like he was like confused. Charlie might not know. Wait a second. This could be brilliant by Erobb.
Well, we can actually listen in to Charlie right now. So let's do that and hear his thoughts about this position.
Take knight. He takes with queen.
I don't think he sees it yet. He's very quiet. Know what
that's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good chance that he thinks he just blundered a pawn. This could be quite brilliant by Erobb.
I think I have to take it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm already taking
a lot of time. He knows he has to take the knight. So he has that.
Okay, so someone in the chat says he was doing
I can just do this. I almost forgot.
The wrong move order.
Well, no, I can't.
He's
still just going to make this.
Go, Erobb. Come on, man. Come on. Let's bring home the W.
I'm just gonna try and get a little wacky. I just gave up that bishop like a fucking idiot.
Okay.
He's just gonna. He can't take.
Okay. Still very, 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 very messy. Like I mean,
I'm playing like ass.
I feel like both players
like utter ass.
Both players are very likely to make mistakes here because they're sort of unfamiliar. And the other thing is the way the position is. With where the pieces are, there's like the pawns. There aren't any pawns in the center of the board, so I think this is I really think this is anyone's game.
Yeah, I mean this mistake, this bishop b5 check, it's an understandable one. He saw the knight and the queen on the same line, and so he wanted to move the piece out the way. But if we just go back for that half second, knight takes d4 first, queen takes d4, then bishop b5 checks the king and wins this queen on d4 by 4. So right plan, wrong execution, and then Erobb, sometimes these backwards moves, in this case, knight back to capture, are hard to find, and so he didn't do it. And after c6, then Charlie took on.
What?
I think he forgot that the queen was now attacking the square.
Something?
So
am I in danger with this?
We got a transposition to knight takes d4, queen takes d4 first, but through very different means. And we're listening to Charlie again.
Oh. Yikes.
And Charlie's too quiet for my liking right now because usually he's got a lot to say. Now he's
I mean, you know what I think is maybe with Charlie, he actually realized he did the wrong order, and then he realized that he got lucky that Erobb did this order. So he's now, I think maybe he's like kind of hesitant because he realizes that he did the wrong order. So I think he might just be a little bit rattled. But again, he is up one queen here for one bishop, so he should. He should be,
my senses are overloaded. I'm getting a phone call. I don't know what I don't know what this play was, and now I'm confused.
You can tell from the way he's talking that he's a little bit unsure of himself.
Stick with what I know. This is open. There's nothing defending this right. Am I missing anything?
Hanging, but then like Erobb hung the queen. But I still expect him to find some good moves here. I think this should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and he was saying that he senses are overloaded. He's getting a phone call, but he's up a queen. So he said, I should just follow my instincts. And he took this pawn on f6. Now his queen's attacking this rook. And I think he'll try to go for some sort of checkmate with bishop to g5 and get the queen next to the king. It's just a very quick attack. So it's a queen for one minor piece, but not nearly enough compensation for Erobb.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as Charlie castles the king, I don't really see how he can it doesn't look like there's enough compensation for Erobb here. And bishop g5 is already, I think, very close to winning. So it's a very tough spot to be in for Erobb.
For sure. And for Charlie to be able to win this game very quickly, I think that's should help his confidence, because I have watched his streams, not necessarily while he's playing in the pogchamps, but when he's just playing chess on his own. And there are times where I feel like he gets a little rattled and he just questions his judgment. But he actually is quite a strong player. He's really improved. And, well, here's an interesting moment. Erobb attacks the queen. If it goes to g5, Hikaru, maybe we'll see Erobb with the discovery with this rook and bishop on the g file, move the bishop out the way, and then win this queen on g5.
Right, and that would be well, it would actually be probably a better transition, I think, for Charlie, because there would be one less piece on the board. But in general, yeah, I think it's just a matter of getting the king out of the center of the board, and Charlie should be doing fine. Now here, Erobb should play bishop to d7 and gambit the pawn on b7, hoping that Charlie doesn't see it, because really the only thing that black has here is the two bishops. So you need to try and create some threats, even if it gives up material.
Yeah, it's a good point, especially because, you know, every player misses a tactic here and there, and bishop d7, maybe Charlie will think, okay, he's just developing, and forgets that the queen is eyeing this pawn on b7. And as you said, if that bishop gets to c6, now we're starting to get chances for black.
So right, exactly, yeah.
And, well, Erobb thinking he plays bishop d7.
Good move, very good move. I like it. I like the. Actually, you know what I like as well when I'm looking at he saw it. When I'm looking at Erobb, like he doesn't look really unhappy. He doesn't look like, now he shakes his head a little bit, but he doesn't look super upset. Like previously when he was behind in the games, you could just sort of get the sense that he felt it was just over and he had no chances. But he seems much more relaxed. So even though he's behind, if he can keep calm, I do think there still is a chance that Charlie could make a blunder down the road.
Yeah, that's true. And, well, queen takes b7 is step one in the right direction for Charlie. He gets rid of this pawn, which also stops this bishop from coming to c6. So that's the real problem, is it's down a queen, Erobb is, and he can't coordinate his pieces. Rook c8's a good move, getting the rook to the open file. And
very
eventually
good move by Rob.
He wants to play bishop c6, but Hikaru, this rook on c8 needs that bishop's defense. So unfortunately, black is going for the right plans, just not enough material and not enough protected pieces to be able to make it work.
Right, yeah. So I think in general, I mean, again, the main thing that Charlie needs to do here is just get his king out of the center of the board with these pawns in front of it. His king will never be able to come under attack. And once he does that, I think it's going to be very hard for Erobb to create threats against the king, and then he can bring the rooks to the open files. So it seems like it should be pretty straightforward, barring a big mistake. Now c3 is fine. Again, I would have preferred if he castled the king, but still, the game goes on.
Right, and there is some faint hope of eventually playing bishop c6, but not with this rook undefended. That's the real issue here. And if black were castled, then bishop c6 would be great. And look at that move, king e7. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, again, you still don't have the threat of moving the bishop to c6, but nonetheless, Charlie is using a fair amount of time. He's not moving super quickly, so again, we need to see what the next couple of moves present. If Charlie finds probably 3 to 4 good moves, I think he's almost certainly going to win this game. But you never know. Players have made mistakes in other games, and bad things have happened. So you never know, and that's why we're watching this.
For sure. And there's the empty Frappuccino on the king side without this bishop on g2. So maybe Charlie would be worried. The empty Frappuccino. You know, Box calls it the Frappuccino instead of the fianchetto. No.
Okay, dude. Whatever. Everybody's got a different name for this. I don't even know what. It's like everyone has a different name. I think I've heard hut. I've heard hat. I've heard sniper's nest. I've heard the empty Frappuccino. Like, I've heard everything now. I've literally heard everything.
He calls it the Frappuccino, but it's empty. So I figured I'd call it the finished Frappuccino. Let's call it that. Or not. Okay. We don't have to.
Are you doing a takeout on the fianchetto, or are you doing a takeout on like the actual drink?
So because fianchetto was obscure to Albert, he started calling it Frappuccino instead.
Okay. All right. Okay. Because I was trying to see the formation. It didn't look like a coffee cup. But yeah, no. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm just hyped up on that much sugar from my Frappuccinos that now I see it everywhere. No, it's just
right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, so queen takes on a7. Charlie is just eating everything that's put in his path, and maybe Erobb should just keep going after Charlie's queen. Feels like,
yeah. I mean, I think rook a8 would be the best try here. Again, it's a very tough position. I mean, just you're already down a queen here, so it's going to be very difficult. But I think he needs to keep attacking the queen if he can.
Yeah, and let's go back to Charlie to hear his thoughts to see how he's handling this position, especially right now.
And Erobb realized immediately that he blundered. You saw him shake his head and go
He's
back.
now just cut off the rook
but it's
from
best
being
of two.
able to
Again,
take
this is the
back
one
when
good
I
thing
take
that I was
his
going to
rook.
say is when it's a best of two and not a best of
So
one.
now I earn 2 rooks.
What happens is that basically you have a chance. So like normally, and this is what I like, is that if this was best of one, it'd be like, oh man, like I lost the game. This is it. Like, you know, I feel so unsatisfied.
He saved
but
one
because
rook.
It's best of two. You get Erobb is going to get a
For
shot
now,
with the
I
white
can check
pieces
here.
in game two to start the comeback and the redemption arc.
For sure. And we have Charlie on right now. He saw that capture right away. He realized that
That'll
Erobb
move his
stopped
king
him
away
from
from his bishop, which I still can't take.
And
yeah, I think yeah, and by the way, since I do have the chat open, this is best of two. It's not best of one. The players have agreed to play 2 games.
That'll
so
force him to drop his king back one more time.
So yeah, and queen c7 here is leading to a forced checkmate. So I think at this point, yeah, it's just about over. But as I said, there's going to be a second game, so Erobb will have a chance in the second game with the white pieces to try and mount the comeback.
He certainly will. And I mean, Charlie, we still have him up here. He saw queen c7. He's thinking that this also wins him a bishop because the king.
Then I take his bishop.
To the last rank, but as you're
puts
pointing
him in
out,
check again, which is going to force him up.
Right. Exactly.
Actually, can I win?
And I assume
honestly,
Charlie
I'm tempted
will see
to accept the draw.
He has been doing a lot of puzzles.
I kind of want to.
But you see, does Erobb realize it's best of two? Because he just offered a draw.
Pushing a rook up right now puts him in check one more time.
Best of two or not?
The draw for his classic.
Yeah, so rook d8 checkmate. Okay, so first game. Okay, so it's 1-0.
Yeah, and well, that was a suspicious start for Charlie if we just go back in time a little bit. I mean, the opening was good for both players. I think they were following their principles very well. This knight was brought to c3 to protect the pawn e4, standard opening theory. And we saw the trade and knight f6. So somebody taught you, this variation.
I mean, it probably was Hans, I'm guessing, on the first day. That's because that's the only person that I know of that he took a lesson with. I mean, maybe he actually he just went and took a lesson off stream, or perhaps he looked at something, maybe just like on Wikipedia or somewhere. I don't know, but chat would probably know because that was on stream. The first lesson was on stream, so chat would know if this was an opening that Hans prepared, or if this was on something. Did they look at this on stream, or did he just discover this off stream?
I'm looking at chat.
Well, I'm asking chat too, because the thing is, like, the first lessons that Hans did with Erobb, they were on stream, so there were VODs, they were remembered, but I don't know if they were on stream or this is just something he found separately on his own, which is also entirely possible, by the way. Completely possible that he found this on his own as well.
And he went after knight f6. Charlie reacted well by capturing. Then g takes, and then when knight f3.
This was also a good move, yeah.
Yeah, and kind of very natural play by both sides, developing their pieces, putting pressure and protecting the center. And then after bishop d3, this was really the critical moment where knight takes d4 was
this was an unfortunate mistake. Yeah, probably. But I mean, the reason that I'm actually starting to think that maybe this wasn't something that anyone prepared for him is because normally you would not bring your knight out, you'd bring your bishop out instead of putting the knight on c6. So I'm not so sure. I mean, this might have just been something that he came up with on his own, actually, because you would put the bishop on d7 and then c6. If you were shown this opening, I think you would go bishop d7, bishop c6. At least that's what a coach would instruct you to play. So I'm actually thinking more and more that maybe this is just something that he came up with on his own.
Yeah, and it almost worked out in his favor because after knight c6, bishop d3, knight takes d4, which is a blunder because of knight takes first, the wrong move order, bishop b5 check, should have netted Erobb a piece on b5.
Okay, although I see a certain grandmaster in chat is saying that he prepared Charlie for this line. So maybe Erobb did play this in a previous game, perhaps, and maybe that's so maybe this was not his first time playing this opening, and I was just unaware of the game that Erobb played. Because it seems like this is something that was prepared. So maybe Erobb had already looked at this opening before.
And unfortunately for him, he got the position he must have wanted with the bishop hanging. He put his pawn c6, and then sadly for him, he took back and lost his queen.
Right, and then it was just then there was nothing really that he could do there.
Well, let's get this next game going because I'm sure Erobb wants his revenge, and we'll see what he's prepared with the white side because clearly he's worked on his openings, as you said, like either by himself or with one of the coaches. But it feels like he may have something up his sleeve and quickly bust out e4.
So far so good. I mean, he'll. Whoa! Oh!
Woohoo!
Whoa!
Hey, Hikaru,
is he going for the 4-move checkmate?
You know a little something about Queen H5 early, don't you?
Come on, Bishop C4. Come on.
Good developing move, but you want to go for the checkmate immediately. Bishop C4 hits F7 the second time.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, Charlie sees it right away. Okay.
He thought for a little bit, so I was wondering if he would retreat the queen aware too. He brings it back to F3, but the problem with this square is now this knight can come into D4 with another tempo on the queen. And
this could get very ugly very quickly since Erobb confused the move order. But Charlie plays Bishop C5, which also I like because he's sticking to the principles, which is very important. Like as you're playing against better players in the bracket, it's going to be important. The principles are going to matter more than actual tricks because people will see the trick ideas. So I like that he's following principles and still developing the pieces here.
Yeah, he's getting himself ready to castle. He's fended off any sort of checkmate threat on F7. And if you're Erobb, I guess now Bishop C4, should be played, but it does feel a bit too slow because earlier Bishop C4 would have had the tempo attacking F7. Now F7 is guarded because the queen is blockaded on the F file. So, Hikaru, what kind of moves would you suggest for Erobb here? I mean, to complete his development, but what kind of setup should he go for?
Probably should bring the bishop out to C4 and then try to develop the knight and get the king out of the center. It's a tough position though. Okay, he goes knight D5. Yeah, I mean it's not a bad move per se. The one thing I like about what's happening is that is that basically white is trying to attack towards the king side, I guess. The problem is that white is sacrificing a lot of development here because black can trade the knights and then start attacking the white queen going all over the board. So I don't mind this, but the problem is that if Charlie remembers the fundamentals of like just following through with the development, there is a chance that this could be very ugly for Erobb in a hurry.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I like that his aggressive intentions. He is down 1 point and needs to win to even up the score, but he's sacrificed so much in terms of development that it feels like Charlie's play is quite natural. But Charlie's sitting and thinking right now, and he has to be worried about knight takes F6, which will shatter his kingside pawn structure.
Right. So I think knight takes knight is a pretty obvious move, but I feel like based on what I think most of the coaches even shown the players or what they've seen, it's not kind of a normal. It's just not a normal sort of idea that you see right away. So I think it's just a little bit. It's just a different kind of position, which I think is why Charlie is not so sure as far as what to do here.
Well, why don't we sit back and just let everybody hear Charlie's thoughts because he's in a critical moment right now.
Is this in any immediate danger? I'm just gonna let this happen, to be honest. So I think I'm just gonna castle now. Well, I don't know. This is confusing. Fuck. I don't know what this is. I've literally never seen this before. The only thing pressured is this and my knight. But him taking my knight doesn't make any sense because then I take with my pawn. It ruins my pawn structure. But he can't take it back or anything. I'm just going to develop normally. I don't know. Whatever happens, happens, I guess. I will say, Erobb is a very tricky opponent. He's using techniques I've never even thought should exist. I took 2 minutes on that move. Wow. Wow. I'm just going to stick with my normal plan.
His self-awareness is really an all-time high.
It is, yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm surprised that he noticed that he used the 2 minutes. I mean, Erobb is doing reasonably well. He's got to develop. He's only has one piece
I imagine he'll
developed.
bring bishop out, actually.
Interesting. So, yeah, he thinks that now Erobb will bring the bishop out, but he did notice that, well, and Erobb took on f6, but
Mhm.
Charlie noticed this. He saw this was going to happen, but he was so shocked because in his standard lessons, people don't use the same piece so many times. The knight moved twice.
Right. I mean, this is one of the issues, of course, when you try to prepare players, is that if the players play something they're not used to, and I mean, this is what Erobb did is not a good opening idea. But if you aren't aware of why it's not good and you haven't seen it before, it's very easy to get a little bit flustered and confused as to what is going on. So, I think that's one of the trickiest things when you're trying to coach some of these players, just for them to follow a basic idea, because when you see something very weird like this, it just doesn't really fit with the plan. But I think Charlie is doing fine. He is probably slightly better. I think the main issue for Erobb is he has to get the bishop and the knight out. He's really got to develop his pieces because he's way behind in the development phase of the game right now. So he really needs to just bring his bishop and bring his knight out.
Yeah, it must be frustrating for Erobb because you want to pile up. Oh, I just accidentally pulled.
Oh no!
No, that was me. That was me.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I didn't mean to do it.
Okay. Plays h3. Okay.
I was trying to draw an arrow and I accidentally clicked on the square, and I was trying to say that you want to pile pressure on this pawn, and I clicked on it.
Thank you for that, Robert. Thank you.
My pleasure. That's what I'm here for. Just to blunder my queen when it's Erobb's queen.
All right. So he goes h3, which is a completely reasonable move here. I'm kind of curious what Charlie's going to do in this position, because I feel like normally what the plans revolve around is castling your king out center of the board. But he does find knight d4, which is a very good move. I was wondering if he would see this move. So he's attacking the queen, attacking the pawn. I think Erobb should see the queen move. Both queen moves make sense. I think he'll probably go to d3, although he could go to d1. So, it's important that he moves the queen and protects this pawn on c2.
Right. And there's nothing for this queen to attack, so I don't think he can be too distracted, because a move like queen g3, while you're taking an open file and maybe trying to bring your queen into a menacing position, you're not actually attacking anything directly, so it doesn't feel worth it if you're thinking in their shoes.
Right. So I think, probably dropping the queen back makes a lot of sense here. But again, no, that's you, right?
Nope.
That was you.
Nope.
That was you.
It wasn't me this time.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He had the right idea of bringing the queen to protect the pawn. He just forgot the knight was covering the d3 square.
We've all fucking been there, man.
Oh, man.
Do you want to offer a draw?
And we're tuning into Charlie again to hear his thoughts. And, well, the game's over.
That's fair. That's fair.